What are these? And how do these work? Hey, welcome back to my channel. So if you remember in my preview, I had these like in the bottom of a bucket of yarn that I had gotten from the Buy Nothing project. I didn't know what it was. And so in my preview I was like, all right, we're gonna do a video on it, find out what it is. So I did a bunch of Googling because there's no branding at all on any of this. I did a bunch of Googling and I found out that it's a round loom knitter for hats. And because there's no branding, I also found out, branding, I almost found out that oh, now better. So, since there is no branding, I also found out everybody and their dog makes these. I found them on Walmart. I found them from Loops and Thread. I found them everywhere. Knifty Knitters, the one that I landed on, that had a PDF with instructions. So that's the one that I'm going with. These range in price. I found them anywhere from like 15 up to over 26. So I guess it depends on the brand. Maybe the color, because the color does change slightly from brand to brand. And some of them are all exactly the same. So one thing about these is the pegs are removable. I found that out the easy way, hard way. And maybe it's so you can make your stitches bigger. I haven't found anything out on that. But in this pack with these four, there's a really small one for newborns. The next size up is for youth. The next size up is adult, medium, and large. And then the next size up is adult, extra large, which I was like, man, this is really big, but we'll figure it out, right? And it also, you have to have a little pick. If you don't have a pick, a crochet hook will work, and I'll show you that too. It just takes a little bit longer with a crochet hook. If I would have read my directions thoroughly, as opposed to jumping in and going, oh my god, this sounds like so much fun, I would have found out that you need to use a chunky yarn. If you don't use a chunky yarn, use 2 strands of your worsted weight 4 medium, and you can do it that way. Plus that also adds a little flair, you know, into the pattern. With the 2 different colors, what's it called? The herringbone or a heather, whatever that look is called. So that being said, I'm going to show you a couple of things that I made that I'm really excited about, and the yarn that I used, and then we're going to jump in. I'm going to show you, this is real easy, how to do this, how to make your brim or not, and then how to close it off. My first hat was about 3 hours, just getting used to it because I kept dropping my yarn. So for my first one, like I said, I didn't read the directions, and I used this one, because I was like, oh no, this is too big. And so for my first one, I used the Impeccable by Loops and Threads. It's Michael's. It is a medium 4, and it calls for an H hook. Okay, so I was like, all right, let's go. This will be awesome. Be knitting a hat. They are too wide. They're too far apart. And as I was working, you can see it's really light. It's really airy. It's ridiculous, correct? And I was just like, this is not gonna make a hat. This is not gonna make a hat. And so what I did instead, playing around with it, I I made a cowl. And it's long enough. I use the entire skein with this. It is long enough that you can pull it up if you want to, if it's cold. So I made a big tube, just going round and round and round and round, because it's super light and super airy with just that one little strand of the 4-weight medium. I also found out that not all 4-weight mediums are created the same. So then I checked the directions again, and the directions again was you could use a chunky or 2 strands. And this is a combination. I don't have the color anymore, but this is a combination of the Big Twist Soft in the rose color, and then also the Yarn Art Finland, which is, they say this is a fine 3. We've been through this before. And this was, they do color numbers 209. But I did 2 strands. This is so nice. This is so nice. 2 strands. I made the brim, pulled the top together, sewed on a little pom-pom, and I did this one in the orange adult medium large, and she fits snug. She fits snug. Oh, and soft and warm. It's too hot. It's too hot for real. But I love this hat. I love this hat. Well, then I thought, okay, all right, let's find a chunky and see what it looks like with the chunky. And I have this. This is old, y'all. This is Line Brand homespun. I got this at Savers, which is a thrift store. This is so old. It's got a Walmart sticker on it, priced at $3.50. But I got several of these from Saver in their thrift bin, and this is a bulky 5. Oh, bulky, not chunky. Well, whatever. This is a bulky 5, and I did this one the same. I did this one in the adult extra large. Second guessing myself the whole way, but even with the bulky, yes, bulky, even with the bulky, we're still you see my fingers going through there, we're still airy. We're light and airy. And I did the brim, and I did close the top. When I finished it off, you can't see the light going through it, but it's very light, it's very airy. When I finished it off, what a cute hat. It's super light. It fits. It's got some slouch to it, the kind of way I like to wear them, as opposed to like a really tight beanie. But wow, super comfortable, super light. Just throw it on. I mean, this is fall, spring, winter hat, honestly. This is a good 3-season hat with this Line Brand homespun. Well, then I thought, okay, well, wait. I did with a brim. What if I did it without a brim? So I made another one in the adult medium large, using 2 weights of yarn, 2 strands of number 4. This one I don't know what it is, because it was in my free bag. There's a lot of white in my free bag. I don't buy it because I get dirty, but I don't know what this is. And then this one is the Lion Brand Basic Stitch, which is a number 4 medium, calls for an H hook. So I put these 2 strands together to make a hat, and instead of making the brim, I finished it off, and as I took it off the loop, I got a bigger crochet hook. It was like an M, and I went around and I single crocheted as I took it off. I single crocheted across to finish that out, and then I did a front post, back post, and then single crochet to make a brim on the end without turning it up like on this style, and then closed off the top, which turned out cute. But man, what a skull cap. It's kind of got that little toboggan-y kind of thing in the back. So definitely should have used, see, don't let this fool you. Don't let that fool you. Because of the way I closed it off, plus because I used smaller yarn, 2 strands of medium 4 as opposed to 1 of the bulky, it made a tighter hat. So I made that one. Oh, but wait. One more. I don't know what this is, and I used every bit of what I've got. This yarn looks like fabric that's been cut into a strip, like fleece, cotton fleece or flannel, fleece, and it's been cut into pet hair. I really dug this out of the bottom, but it's really wide. It's cut fabric. I don't know, can you see, will it focus on that? And then, you know, cut into this really wide, and I had a ball of it, and so I was like, okay, wait a minute, this, we're gonna make it out of this. This definitely is a chunky, 100% chunky, not a bulky. And what a difference. What a difference in this little hat. I used every single bit that I had, and I made a little brim with it, pulled the top closed, and I used the big adult extra large. What? I don't know what this yarn is. If anybody knows what this yarn is, like for reals, it's like cut fabric. And it was in a ball. So I'm sure it came in a skein at one time. It is fleece, I swear, but look at the difference. Okay, so here's the difference in making a beanie with the adult, with the adult extra large, with that chunky, bulky, like chunky. I love this hat, but it's just too hot for me to wear. My gosh, this is just cute. I'm gonna put a pom-pom on the top. But then, and the difference in the fit between the two yarn. This one's really skull cappy, right? I'm not kidding, I've had so much fun. This hat is stellar. But I don't go anywhere that warrants anything this warm. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 strands of medium yarn, just for the sake of time. I'm going to show you on the smallest one how to start it, how to make the majority of your hat, how to make your brim, how to close it off. I'm going to show you that today. You ready? Okay, I've got my 2 strands. I'm using the Joann's Big Twist Soft, and I've got my little hook, and I'll show you the crochet hook too, just in case you've lost this. But start with a slip knot. So you'll take it around your finger, push it up through, make a slip knot, and you're going to start. You're going to have this one little tab here on the outside. That's where you begin. And we're going to put it on here for now, and then once we get, I don't know, 4 or 5 rows in or whatever, then we'll be able to take it off. This is just to anchor it. I hold mine, here we go, on the side. It works better for me, I think, to hold it this way and then go around and around like this. This way I have a tendency to go too far, so I I don't know, I hold it like this. And so to get started, since we're anchored here, we're going to go behind. So here's your anchor. Here is the first peg to the left of that anchor. And we're going to go right in between those two. And then come around in front of that first peg to the left to the first peg to the right of that tab. Go behind it, go around in front of it, and back behind it, and you'll make a loop around it. And then you're going to make a loop around the next post and the next post all the way around. You're just going to do loops all the way around each peg, from back to front, back to front, back to front, all the way around until you get back to your little tab that you put your slip knot onto. That way you don't have to count rows or do stitch markers, because that's your stitch marker for you right there. That little tab, it makes it so easy. And so just keep making loops around from back to front, all the way around until you get back to that very first one, because it's the tab directly to the left, or the post directly to the left of the tab. That's one row. You're going to do 2 of these so you can start your first row of your loom knitting. So just push everything down with your fingers, and then again go from back to front all the way around to make a second row of loops around your posts until you get to where you started. So now you have 2 loops on every post all the way around. So now it's time to start our weaving, our looming, our knitting. So here on our last post, where we did our final wrap, I just hold it between my 2 fingers so I don't let go. I'm going to take my little pick and I'm going to take the bottom loops, put it over the top, and do that all the way around. The first ones are a little tight, but just take that bottom loop, the bottom 2 strands that made your first row of loops, and just pick them up and put them over the top of every loop. So that leaves 1 loop on the post. And when I say loop, I'm talking about both of those strands as one. So you take the bottom loop, take it over the top of the post, leaving that row of loops. So you just have 1. And this is your knitting process right here, all the way around, until you get to where you started again. Because here's your marker, here's your little tab, and then grab your yarn, and you're going to pull your work down, and then we'll start our row again. So you'll go behind this first post and start looping around all the way around. Finish. When you finish, hold on to it with your fingers and always anchor the last one first, because if you let go, it's just going to unwind, and then you're going to say cuss words like I did, and then you got to pick it up where you left off. So just make sure that you hold it with your fingers until you get that very last loop anchored. Put it there. Anchor this one. That's the last loop you did on that peg. Once it's done, you can let go because it's anchored there, and then work your way around your loom again, taking the bottom loop over the top of the peg and leaving 1 row of loops on each peg. And now we're ready to start again. So I'm going to push this down. And I'm going to do this for about 4 or 5 revolutions. And then the body of the hat is going to start coming out the bottom of the loom. And when it does, I'll be able to take this off. So I'm going to meet you back here after about 4 or 5 loops and show you. Or I'm going to meet you back here after 4 or 5 rounds and show you. Okay, so I'm finishing up my 5th row. Like that, and you can see how the hat is starting to grow out the bottom of the loom. So now that I have come past the bottom of the loom with my work, I'm going to take this slip knot off and bring it and let it hang down, and we're going to work that in later. Okay, and so I'm just going to continue on making more rounds until with my ruler I'm going to measure my work from the bottom of the peg where it's hanging to the bottom of the work, and when I get about 3 inches hanging here is when I'm going to make my brim. So when I get to 3 inches, that's when I'll meet you back here. You keep working. Okay, I am finishing up this round. Get my ruler and I'm going to put it up to the top of where I'm working and pull it down, and I'm at 3 inches. So from this 3 inches is where I'm going to make the brim of my hat. And to do this, it's super easy. Go ahead and push your work down to the lower part of the peg all the way around your hat. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this loop, you're going to fold your hat up, and you're going to connect this bottom loop where we started to the peg of the corresponding loop. And the easy way to help you is to match them up. This is where our slip knot on the peg was. So it would be like this, right? So this loop right here next to it belongs on this loop here. So I'm going to grab this loop right here next to where we had it tagged onto here. So this loop, which is those 2 threads, I'm going to then push it up into the middle of the loom, and I'm going to drop that loop down on that corresponding peg. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go to the next loop and I'm going to put it on the next peg. And it's a lot easier with a bigger hat, I'll tell you that. I'm going to take the next loop, put it on the next peg, working my way all the way around. Just putting the loop with the corresponding peg that it initially came off of. Just like that. Okay, here we are, coming up on our last couple of loops. Finding that last one can be a little difficult, but we got it. There we go. And now, that's your tail. Don't worry about that. Now, since we have all of our loops from the brim of our hat onto our loom, we are going to take the bottom loop and put it over the top to then anchor that row. Look, cookie hair right there. Do that all the way around, just like we were. It's just like any other row. as simple as that. So when you get to the very last of your loops, you're going to push your work down again because you're going to start another row, and now you're working on the body of the hat. And so we're back here where we started. We're going to go behind this and we're just going to wrap around like we did for all of those rows that got us up to the 3 inches. And we're going to keep going until our hat measures from the bottom of the brim to our last row about 6 inches. So continue going around and around, stopping every once in a while to measure the length of your hat until you get to 6 inches. And I will see you at 6 inches. Okay, I'm coming up on my 6-inch mark, and I wanted to show you, if you lose your pick, if you lose your pick, if you have, this is a 3.25 millimeter D crochet hook, focus, and it's also in that hook is a deep cut. Can you see that? Because some crochet hooks, they don't have that deep cut, right? They're just real shallow, where this has a deep cut in the head of that hook, and that'll allow you to grab that yarn better. I also strongly recommend a metal crochet hook because I have broke plastic ones before. This little doobry here, this little hook thing here, I bent it really bad, getting a little aggressive with flipping things over. So if it's too tight, slow down. You're wrapping too tight, you're gonna ruin your tool. So I already anchored that first one, right? So if you grab that deep cut head, there's 2 ways you can grab it. Putting the head of the hook and grabbing it, and then take your hook and spin it like that, and then you can put it across the top, and it'll work that way. Or you can go underneath, because there's that little groove there. You can go underneath and you can pull it over, and it works just fine. And honestly, for kids, because this is pointy. This is really pointy. You'll put a hole in your skin, honestly. For kids, unsupervised, this D hook, look how perfect that is. And it'll work with a chunky or a bulky. It will work the same. It's just a little slower, that's all. But that crochet hook will work just fine, pulling those loops around the top of that post so you can knit on your loom with a crochet hook. Make sure it's metal, make sure it's a deep cut head, and you are in business. There we go. We did our last round with a crochet hook. So there is an adaptation you can do. So now we have our 6 inches in length from bottom of the brim to the top of the post for the size of our hat. And now we need to finish our hat. So you need to cut about, at least one revolution around one circumference of your yarn, at least that, and half again more, just so you have enough to loop. Okay, grab yourself a big eye needle, whatever you have that works for you. This is an upholstery needle. Those big plastic ones, the big eye plastic ones, work real great with this too. And then make sure you thread both of your strands of yarn through the eye of your hook, or eye of your needle. Come on. Alright, now I've got my yarn threaded into my needle. And what we're going to do is weave these off of the posts with our needle. And so I'm going to put my needle underneath the loop and bring it over, and I'm going to pull my my yarn through. And then I'm going to go down into the next loop, up from the bottom, pull it over the post, and pull my yarn through. Same. Go to the next post, put your yarn underneath, or your, oh my gosh, I can't find my words today. Put your needle under that yarn, pull it over the top of your post, and then pull your yarn through. And you're going to work this all the way around. All the way around, just like that. Okay, here I'm coming up on the last 3. Of my hat. So now we've just took it off our loom. There we go. And now I'm going to pull this tight all the way around. Just like that. Now I'm going to put my needle, there's, see that little hole there where I just pulled it together? I'm going to put my needle there. I'm going to turn my hat inside out. And then just crisscross across the top. To close up the top of your hat. There we go. I've got that nice and tight. And then just for added extra, I go ahead and tie a couple knots in the top. And that's pretty secure. And the same, so here's where we started our hat, because we made our brim. So where we started our hat's a little high because we folded that brim. So go ahead and pull that slip knot out, and then the same, thread your needle again. And then I'm just, because this is where we started, I'm just going to run it back and forth a couple times up and down this rib. Not too tight, I don't want it to bunch up. Simple as that. Cut that off. Pull it back. That's going to go back inside there. Oh, looky here, looky here. Turn it back inside out. And now we have a little teeny tiny version of, look, of this. And then make your little pom-pom for the top. Oh my gosh, how cute is that? How cute is that? How cute is that? Not crazy happy about this one, but, and then, oh, how cute is that? And then how cute is this sloppy, just cowl bunch around your neck, loose, fitting, soft. I've had the most fun. I've had the most fun with this little loom. The one thing though I will show you is I'm very consistent. There's a portion where it's really wide, and that's always coming around as I'm finishing up next to that tab. These last couple, 2, 3, always end up to be really wide for some reason, and it's consistent across the board with all of the hats. I almost always know where that tab is because it's wider right there. So I just used that as the back of my hat. The only one that it didn't do that on was this material, super bulky, chunky stuff. Like, it didn't on this. This one stayed nice and tight all the way around. So probably because this thing is made for this crazy bulky yarn. It's made for it. That's why it didn't. It worked perfect. And there we have it. That's the fun that I've been having. And I won't stop, can't stop. I'm not kidding. I've got ideas of other things. I mean, since I made this cowl, really awesome cowl to bunch up. Making this, if I did one strand and made it really long, it'd be a scarf, and the ends would be open, and you could hide your hands. Do you think I could make a mitten? You think I could drop a stitch? Oh, I just had an idea. You just saw that. You just saw that light come on, didn't you? Okay, if you like these kind of videos, please like and subscribe. I'll make sure I put it in a playlist so it's easier for you to find. My channel's loaded with content. You know the spiel. I've got it all. I got a bunch of crochet coming here in a row, waiting for the weather to warm up so we can dive into some more tie-dye. I've got some jewelry ideas coming too. I'm gonna have a lot of fun heading your way. Come hang out with me. And if you've ever used one of these before, let me know in the comment section below. Post some of your creations on my social media. I want to see it. Remember, be peaceful, be kind. Hey, try something new today. Who knows? You might like it. I'll talk to you soon.